Minutemen were robbed. Right. Right. Before we can do all that, Yada! What's up, sickos? It's me, it's Big Spastet, and she's only mildly mad on Don't Call Me Diva, especially right now. Thank you. Where we talk AEW and affiliated women's wrestling. We keep this show in the realm of kayfabe if you haven't quite. And in doing so, we have also created quite a bit of lore here. So it is now episode 39. So if you need to catch up on things, go check out episode 1. And you'll know more about why we are here and why I am like this. It was Grand Slam fun times in Sydney, Australia. Last Saturday. They even got themselves their own like private house show in Brizzy. Lucky little devils. I was wondering if that was going to be like a dynamite, but oh no, they just got that all to themselves. They even got a very surprise debut. They were like, I heard the rumblings of, but I wasn't taking too seriously. We have some new all elite Australians. You may know them. They did come out to a song that was quite repetitive in my own head, and it does involve a lot of, oh, but oh my God, yes, the inspiration are now all elite, baby. Get ready to giggle yeah, fanny off because if you don't know these two bonkers bitches already, you are in for a treat. They have created some of the most iconic backstage moments of the Wobbly Wobbly. Why they brought them up, I do not know. Once again, worst decision ever. Billy Kay, now Jesse, is the reason why I cannot help randomly from like moments, not even if I've heard the name, just yell at, oh, Kayla, because that cracked me the fuck up. Oh, so yes, this is exciting. This is going to be awesome. We are going to have a lot of fun now. And they have been working a lot on their like tech stuff, as they always have. They've been like working on their tech stuff. Great to have them back. They had the TNA titles recently. Did they win them twice? Or did they just have them for one iconic run? I'm not too sure. But anyway, Cassie and Jesse are absolutely made for pro wrestling television. So the fact that they haven't been on broad worldwide television for so long is a crime. So very excited by that. If, though, going back to the first, that's going to be you. If you win those tag titles before Megabad, you too are going to be this microphone. I'm not, but I shall be having some words to myself through a screen, but words will definitely be said on here. Hit your bottom dollar. Just because you're from, you know, just because you're cousins doesn't mean you can take the titles away from Megabad, okay? Okay. But before we get into all of that, we are in Ontario, not the Canada one, as all of us internationally think, but it is the Californian Ontario that we shall be in. And we shall see if the World Championship actually becomes toxic or if it stays cosmic. Work with me here. I know we know, but we don't know. Ontario is going to go wild. Oh, they are going wild as we open up Dynamite. The crowd is ready to see quite the momentous show this evening. There are a lot of title bouts on this show. They are very lucky. Miranda and her rippling muscles carry the Continental Championship over her shoulder as she accompanies the Death Riders for their trios match against, you heard it, the Don Fallis family. Still with no feminine energy. Surprisingly, Marina does not get involved at all during this match. Well, so we're just going to move on. After the TNT title match, they're remarkably doing me the personal favor. Renee Paquette is gracing our presence in the ring to pose some questions to the newly recrowned Fletcher. Renee is in her black leatherish pants that we love so much and like this black mesh sleeveless top with a delicate button detailing like neck, decolletage area. Kind of like, Chinese dresses a pinned like that. Pinned, no, buttoned, idiots. She gets the scoops, and we're just going to shimmy on after a tag match with more menfolk, in which Strong Boy abandons Orange, which I have now realized hasn't really been brought up again. But that's momentous if you ask me. A radiance then shines down from the balconies on us all as the former two-time world champion, Timeless Tony Storm, and her faithful butler Luther, mic in hand, has something she wants to say to our fallen Orange. We don't get blood orange, but one day it's going to be fun. Timeless is, I have to say, gorgeous. But this evening is just beyond the realm of gorgeous. Her hair falls in Hollywood waves. The makeup is exquisite. Her red silk dress, simple yet divine, makes Tony Storm. There are rings shining on her fingers and her neck and her wrists. Tony has come to terms with her choices of making the stipulation of shaving Lai's head. And if she gets pinned at Grand Slam, she will allow her hair to be shaved with dignity. But Yuta and Marina have something that will definitely shake Tony to her, what she thinks now is very composed core. As fucking Yuta speaks directly to Tony Storm from the entrance rampy stage area, Marina drags a very smothered Mina trapped in mother's milk with her and stands next to the wet dog, who now has some scissors in his hand from somewhere as he chops through a chunk of Mina's hair in the balcony. Tony is furious, as you could only imagine, with a hint. And she races, I'm assuming, to the stairs to come to Mina's side. In the ring, we realize Orange can't help because he is currently being held back by that dastardly Daniel Garcia. After it is done, Marina drops Mina to the floor and they just walk away. Orange is left in the ring to feel very helpless and even now more full of dread because he still hasn't come to terms with losing his hair. Mina is recovering from the mother's milk whilst also realizing that now a chunk of her own hair is missing. King Yuta. He's crossing all the lines every time he is partnered with Marina. He just gets more sadistic. Shafir has like a little knack of bringing that out in people, I think. But also he is a vessel of deviance, if you're gonna ask me. But Marina is always half a step away from shenanigans at all times, which is why I was very surprised to see how much non-interference she does during this episode. Our episode, not this episode, because this episode, get in for a good one. Well, a long one and a good one, but we don't have much else going on in this Dynamite until amazing cosmic toxic Bane event. Bane event? No, the main event, not the Bane event, but the battle for the World Championship, trying to rein myself in so we don't waffle on for the ages. So whilst I should point out that this is the only women's match that shall be on the show, shush crumb, we don't have much else going on this Dynamite until the Cosmic Toxic main event, the battle for the World Championship. So, whilst I shall be pointing out that this is the only women's match on the entire show, and that's a bit shit, Mr. Tony Khan. I did forget last week, but this week I shall be having words with your side piece about this. But there are more words to be had. But carrying on. But in the also opinion on the show, it is also the most important battle of this week's Dynamite. So we shall let it slide. At least it's the perfect main event. The strap match, sickos! As I stated last week, this will be the third strap match in AEW and the first woman strap match. Tickler's music hits first. The challenger is bathed in shadows and red light. She is also upside down. Tickler has a new mask that has actual like fangs now, and it makes her look so much more dynamic. Dynamic? Demonic. And I am a happy chappy. Oh, blood is literally in my eyes because it is Tickler. As the music explodes with those brutal Mikey Ruckus riffs, just as Tickler explodes with the mesmerizing aura out onto the stage at the same time, creates such an iconic moment in wrestling. Holy shit. She is so freaking cool. I mean, do I have to tell you that? We don't have to tell you that. And even though she is an absolute badass heel, you cannot help but cheer for her. I assume, because as we all know, I have a big soft spot for a good heel. Always have. But come on, how could you not get hyped during this entrance that everybody is? Come on, everyone loves it. It's amazing. Tickler battle poses with fire erupting on either side of her. She wears her long black shiny coat with the red spider on the back over her gorgeous deep green gear, strapped the wazoo. Her eye makeup is even very dramatic this evening with a complimentary green swept back to the temples. She looks incredible, like mini pay-per-view incredible. Foreshadowing. Tekla stalks her way to the ring, making Mikey's lyrics her own. As she slides into the ring, there is just one spotlight illuminating the ring behind her as she climbs the ropes. Tekla battle poses on the top like an absolute menace as the camera swoops past her. She completes phase 3 of her battle entrance, and the lights fade as the music does also. Our world champion's music hits and the world instantly becomes a gorgeous hue of purples and blues. The Cosmic Killer comes out doing more. The personal favorite, I might add, with a strap in hand. Now, someone pointed out that this was the same strap that had been used in the other two matches. And by the way, I mean the actual person that was in them, Brian Danielson. And that this was not actually something I had picked up on myself. Ugh. They felt it was a bit gross, like kind of fair. But now knowing that, I kind of think is really cool, keeping like a history in like an actual physical strap. I mean, I agree it's ooh gross, but like also fuck yeah. Like I'd do the same. And if you don't care about that kind of shit because you're in like a hardcore wrestling match, I do not think you'd give a flying fuck about a bit of like Daniel Bryanson's Ricky Starks, no relation, Cody and fuck. Was it his brother? No. We forget. But lineage, actual blood lineage, and now they've added their own. Well, one more than another. As we swirl around our world champion, she unclasps the championship and holds it up high. And as the lights dance across it, we follow it as the stomping queen, our world champion, goes down to the ring. Stat has her hair out this evening and it falls in like fully out, and it's falling in like stunning waves. Our world champion looks more like Dark Stat than ever before, but at least this time it is very much warranted. The Cosmic Killer stops briefly and then whips the strap on the floor, causing a beautifully dramatic crack as her eyes are always still firmly locked on Tekla. Hey, Lily. Lily would also like to let you know that Tekla is her favorite wrestler. Hey, sweetie. Oh, this is Lilith. Say hi, Lilith. She's just learning about wrestling also, aren't you, baby? She's a very good student, but also a big, oh, is she gonna tip everything over? We'll soon know. If I disappear, you'll know what. Where were we? Step walks over to Tekla. Oh no, wait, no, 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 no. Hang on. My bad. My bad. My bad. Stat gets into the ring and hands her world championship to the ref, who then presents it before Tekla. She then holds it up for us all to see. The ref, not Tekla. Now, sorry, Lilith just took a massive bump off the top of something over there. She's all good. She landed on the padding. She knows how to wrestle safely. Now, gold may not be my favorite color. You know, I'm more of a silver gal, but the World Championship is beautiful, as we can like see over here. Oh, so cool. This will be Ref Aubrey's first strap match. Also, and I wonder how long it will take for her to get real frustrated with Tekla. The biggest strap match, it's no DQ. So technically, that means that nothing Tekla should do should get into the skin of the ref. But you just know she's going to do it somehow. She has like a perfect knack of getting under Ref Aubrey's skin. Stat walks over to Tekla and she throws the strap at her. Tekla had a real sadistic smile on her face, like the entire time. But somehow, after she gets thrown the strap, she just beams bigger once she gets it handed to her. Our world champion's expression is still one of calm rage, keeping her stare very steadily. Oh, very steady, and giving absolutely nothing away by that. Once the bell rings, Chris's expression lightens to amusement as she twists the strap around her wrist. Tekla does the same, and it quickly turns into a test of strength of the tug of war. A war Tekla loses real quickly as the world champion easily pulls her closer until the toxic spider is literally kneeling before her. She watches as Stat folds up the strap with intentions of whipping her with it, and Tekla engages in super quick mode. She quickly rolls out of the way, and Stat's whip cracks down on the canvas with a sickening. The toxic spider slides out of the ring, and she tries to get like some space between her and Chris, but with the world champion on the other end of that strap, that was never going to happen. Stat pulls Tekla back into the ring and right into a brutal kick that lands perfectly on the side of Tekla's head. The world champion then uses her strength to its absolute maximum effects by whipping Tekla into the corners of the ring. Each time, Tekla's body gets rattled by the impact until she is whipped one final time into the lariat from the world champion. Oh, the impact is spectacular. The whole crowd just erupts in impressed cheers as Stat battle poses on one knee with a gun show. Not only that, were they impressed with the absolute slugging Tekla just took. Woohoo! As the ref checks to see if Tekla is actually still alive, Stat gets to her feet. If the toxic spider still breathes, she shall find out, and does so by dragging her around the ring by the strap, almost pulling Tekla's arm out, and she screams out in pain. Can confirm still alive. The world champion is having a lot of fun overpowering Tekla in this way, and almost rug burns the entire skin off of Tekla's perfect abs. Then once again, Tekla slides out of that ring as soon as she can. Instead of pulling her back in this time, though, Stat goes to the outside. But this gave Tickler the opportunity to gather up the strap herself, and she whips the world champion. Apparently, couldn't quite see it, but in the face. Whew, it was definitely in this kind of area, maybe even like, because it was quite a bit, so it could have gotten this whole area. It could have been like literally face, chest, and tit. But shit, the sounds of that leather hitting flesh just echoed throughout the entire arena, and everyone in the crowd verbally winced, even myself, just even thinking about it. Holy fuck. Tekla whips her again, but the third one really pisses off the world champion, and she boots Tekla into the midsection. This puts a complete stop to all of Tekla's fun. And even worse, she is helpless to stop herself from being rammed right into the ring post face first. Drink break. Holy moly. Danger Mouse. Tickler avoids the big wound up whip from Stat at least, and it cracks on that same ring post that Tickler's face just hit. The toxic spider stumbles and crawls away from Stat, using the side of the ring and the steel steps to keep her on her feet. Not done too greatly. Chris is following close behind. Again, she attempts to repay Tickler back, but she hits the ring with the sharpest sounding crack instead. Also, thank goodness Tickler avoided that. Tickler ducks out of the way just in the nick of time, and she tries to roll back into the ring to gain some higher ground. Bistat grabs the strap and she's just so strong. She can just yoink her the fook out of the ring and straight into a thrust kick this time that went straight from the world champion's feet to Tickler's face. Chris takes a moment to soak up the energy from the crowd, which is going absolutely bazonkers, and then goes back to her current favorite activity, which is dragging Tickler around by her strapped arm. Tickler does her best to resist being dragged around as much as possible, but the world champion instead grabs her by the arm and starts dragging her that way as Tickler just screams out in pain once again. The toxic spider has definitely brought out Darkstat, and with her bonus from being the world champion making her even more dangerous, Tickler has no one to blame but herself. If we're honest. I doubt she would have it any other way, though, because, violent chaos is the Hill of Madness's happy place. So she's probably absolutely stoked. So when you think about it like that, Stat sends Tekla to her happy place by whipping her into the steel barricade. Tekla has been dominated by Muscle Mama Stat on dire time, and the strength imbalance is perfectly on display, which is what I was worried about it. Tickler does have a mind for violence though, and she's very smart. The Joshi bonus of absorbing damage also very much helps. A body of indestructible muscle and having poison in her veins really is going to give her her own advantages, but right, Darkstat is queen of this strap match. Sidebar. Like I said, Daniel Bryanson is on commentary, and that is when I noticed that he noticed that despite them cleaning up that strap, they were unable to get the blood out of it, which is once again, I think is a famously gory piece of law. He also seemed to really revel in it as well. I love that for Brian Danielson. Brian Danielson. I love that he's like, yeah, he loves wrestling. He's a sicko man. Our world champion uses the strap to pull Tickler towards her. She yoinks Tickler in her arms and then cracks her back down onto her knee, dropping Tickler to the floor and just leaving her there to deal with her lower back troubles. Chris ascends the steel stairs and basks in her glory from the crowd, gathering in all that sweet, sweet world championship power. Stat goes back to Tekla and tries to send her into the steel stairs she was just basking on. But Tekla has recovered more than Chris would have liked, and she avoids connecting with the stairs with a very impressive vertical leap. A cunning plan A cunning plan occurs to Tekla, and she jumps down to the other side of the stairs and, using Stat's strategy, pulls the world champion into those steel stairs via the strap, and Stat hits the stairs full force. Tekla takes this moment to recover some more stamina. Those rough whips into the barricades are definitely making themselves felt no matter how fucking demonic you are. The toxic spider gives Stat the finger to assert dominance and makes herself feel better. It also helps in her health regen, by the way, you know. Tekla takes a final rest against the ring and battle cries out to the crowd. She is proclaiming that this is her game now, and we shall see how that pans out for her. Ref Aubrey looks pissed and tells Tekla to get all of this back into the ring. She is also putting on gloves, which can only mean one thing. Someone's bleeding. And yep, it's our Cosmic World Champion. It looks like she has split her scalp open when she was pulled into those steel stairs, and now a torrent of blood is just dripping majestically down the world champion's face. Tekla tries to pull Stat to her feet, but the world champion is woozy and she just slumps down against the ring. Dr. Tekla takes a good look at Stat's wound and confirms that yes, it is indeed a nasty one. She proceeds to administer pressure to the wound via punches and then digs the point of her elbow into Stat's bleeding skull. And this kind of makes me think and wonder what kind of Dr. Tekla actually is. When she starts to bite, the world champion's open wound then becomes blatantly clear what kind of Dr. Tickler is, and I am equally scared and curious, but both from a very vast distance. As Tickler taunts the crowd with Statler's blood all over her, the world champion pulls herself up to her feet by the steel steps. She takes a swing at the midsection of Tickler, but gets a boot to the face instead, and Chris crumples back down to the ground. As she pulls herself back up to her feet once again, she only has a second to notice that Tickler has set her up to be driven face first into the ring post. There is just nothing she can do to stop the first or the second, fucking each one, making Tickler here and the blood gush more. By the time Tickler brings the world champion back into the ring, that blood is gushing down the side of her face, down the side of her neck, across her cleavage, and over her right shoulder. Tickler is not too comfortable with having Stat's blood all over her hands, so she decides to use the ref's shirt to wipe it off. The ref gives her a look of utter disgust and fear, but it's done now, and the toxic one is now less bloody. The world champion is not recovering very well and has yet to get up to her feet. The brutality of the last 6 minutes, along with the blood loss, seems to be taking all the strength out of her legs. Tickler is moving around a lot less sluggish now, and she gathers the strap and whips Stat across the back and then wraps it around her throat. But even though our world champion had Tickler on her back, choking her still, by the way, she was fighting to get to her knees with a hand just grasping the strap enough to stop her from being completely choked out. Stat manages to get some lucky elbows into the ribs of Tickler, gasping for breath. Unfortunately, though, her body position and the big giant gash on her skull worked against her, and all Tickler has to do is elbow her there once, and all the oomph goes back out of Stat. Tickler goes for a pin after almost kicking a world champion's head clean off, but Chris still powers out of this at 2, and she unleashes a battle cry in defiance And defiant of defeat, our world champion must be, as the toxic spider has some very painful plans. After another whipping, Tickler gets a new idea and wraps the strap around Stat's mouth, pulling back very hard, enough to force Statlander's mouth wide open. The glee on her face as Chris's muffled screams cry out is captured perfectly on screen. And this was the level of toxic I was forgetting. Unhinged violence, driven by the price of the championship. That can overcome pure strength when it is applied correctly. Our world champion has had enough of all this noise for now and grabs Tickler's arms, whipping her over her head, and that was enough to release herself from the torment of the strap. Surprisingly, Stat gets to her feet with fury and picks up Tickler, plonks her on the top turnbuckle. She gets a boot, though, to the face very quickly. And Tickler locks her legs around Stat's throat and falls backwards on the ropes, hanging upside down for her very famous judo gumo. Ref Aubrey is screaming Scat? No, Stat's name as blood fountains from her scalp. She cannot count Tickler out at all, but she can take a submission from our world champion. Tickler does, though, decide to let go eventually. I mean, I guess even Tickler can't stay upside down forever. And Chris falls to the mat in a bloody clump. Tickler basks in her glory, but behind her, the world champion is getting to her feet and quickly wraps the strap around Tickler's mouth, pulling bad so hard that our world champion can look her directly in the eyes. Unfortunately, the ref has front row seats to what happens next, and the look on her face expresses pretty much everyone else's when this happened. Tickler takes those gorgeous, slightly blood-filled eyes of Chris Statlander and digs her thumbs right into her sockets. It works perfectly at getting herself out of the choking situation, but she literally almost ends up with the world champion's eyeballs on the end of her fingernails. Tickler gives her no time to assess anything and jumps up on the apron. She pulls the strap so Stat has no choice but to lean through the ropes. And then after wrapping the strap around Chris Statlander's neck, she gets booted in the head by a thrust kick from Tickler. The toxic spider is feeling herself now, and with a bit of battle talk, she climbs the ropes. Stat is on her feet. She's stumbling, half blind from her own blood. Tickler does her the kindness of at least announcing her arrival before flying down at her with a perfect crossbody. But it did Stat no good, and she still got taken down, pinned. She does manage to strongly kick out at 2. Tickler is miffed, but channels it into whipping Stat with the strap and tries to get back on her feet. Oh, as Chris tries to get back on her feet. Now, this is where Toxic does something a bit dumb. She arches into spider mode. All our world champion has to do in this moment is just pull the strap, and she just whips Tickler out of the bridge, and she crumbles to the mat, hitting the back of her head real hard. Not smart, Tickler. Tickler manages to get to her feet, but this helps Stat more than her as Chris pulls her in, and Tickler comes unwillingly running face first into Stat's boot. Tickler's block is certainly rocked, and our world champion follows it up with a beatdown in the corner. She pulls Tickler in again and slams her to the mat with a very snappy power slam. Chris pins her for the cover, but Tickler pushes her off before they can get to 3. Stat has a plan and pulls Tickler over to the corner more, climbs the ropes, Tickler gets up to her feet, though, pretty damn quickly, gathers up the strap as she comes, and whips our world champion right across the chest. Now, I know I say this often, but the next sequence of events was a literal violent thing of beauty. Tickler crimes? Tickler does do crimes, but not here. Tickler climbs the ropes. Oh no, she's attached to her own eyelashes. Moving on. Tickler climbs the ropes to join Stat, but before she does, Tickler makes sure to fling the strap over the top rope so as not to get caught up. Stat cracks her with a couple of real good shots to the stomach and the head, and Tickler drops down. So she is now hanging backwards off the top rope. The toxic spider is used to this position, but not with a strap tied to her arm. She gathers up the strap and then engages rock hard and just sits back up. So now Stat and Tickler are facing each other again. Tickler is the one who is armed, though, and she whips Stat without mercy at point blank range. Tickler grabs hold of our world champion and flings her into the mat the perfect spider suplex. Toxic sits up, basks in her glory. The fans, who are 100% like behind Stat, know a legit badass when they see one and can't help but give her some of her glory. Tickler feels her arm being tugged behind her and looks behind to see the world champion is gathering up the strap. She knows what's coming. Tickler has no way of getting out in time, though, and she soon feels the sting of that strap crack across her back. Chris pulls her backwards and puts Tickler in the most accurate tree of woe I have ever seen in my entire life of watching wrestling. She must have whipped Tickler at least 3 times in her stomach, like in a row. Oof, vicious. Chris yoinks Tickler off the ropes, and it looks like she is about to lawn dart Tickler, but the toxic spider engages kicky feet and quickly gathers up the strap for another strike. Chris ducks this one and quickly turns to nail Tickler with the discus lariat. Tickler goes down hard. Stat goes for the pin, but that won't end the match. Tickler and Stat get to their knees again. Chris's face is covered in blood now, as is her entire upper body, and her hair is also drenched in blood on that one side, giving me like full on like leader hardcore match vibes right now. This activates Stat, who wraps the. Oh, what are we doing here? Hang on, we're not getting there yet. They exchange forearm shots as they get to their feet. As I am admiring Tickler's unbloodied visage compared to our Cosmic World Champions, Tickler spits in the face of Chris Statlander and he goes, "Please don't tell her, okay?" This activates Stat, who wraps the strap around Tickler's neck and then drives a short arm lariat right through Tickler, enough to kill any man but not a Tickler. Tickler is completely awake now and feels every whip of that strap hit her flesh as Statlander rains down one after another onto Tickler's back. Tickler can only involuntarily cry out in pain, and even the ref is kind of feeling a little sorry for her right now. Stat ends this beating and pulls Tickler into the blue thunder bomb and pins her to the mat. Despite a real decent cover, though, Tickler bursts out of the pin too. That Joshi fucking absorption right there. Stat slowly gets to her feet, her jaw is clenched, and blood is still actively pouring down her face. Dom Stat whips herself for some wholesome activity and activation, I should say, some wholesome activation, and lifts Tickler up for another blue thunder bomb. Tickler counters this by punching Stat in the face, and Chris instantly drops her back down to the mat. That blood loss is got to be part of this. Tekla slides through the world champion's legs, whips her in the back, forcing Stat down to one knee, then wraps the strap around her throat. This time, Tekla wants to curb stomp Chris, but she had to let her go first. This gives Stat enough time to counter that, thank goodness, by quickly freeing herself and cracking Tekla in the leg with the strap. That puts a complete stop to Tekla's plans. Our world champion wraps that strap around Tekla, pinning her arms by her sides, and then flips her over for a tombstone pile driver. Tekla cannot get out. Stat nails her head into the canvas, and then out of the literal blue comes Sky Blue, who has jumped up onto the apron at the most perfect time of the match. Tekla is out. She's wrapped up. She's not getting out of this. Chris is going for that pin. But the ref is completely distracted by Sky Blue, who is doing an Oscar-winning performance. Not even the boos from the crowd can alert the ref to the goings-on in the ring. Julia Hart is also here, and she has stealthily slid into the ring. Both Sisters of Sin are doing me the personal favor, but we can't get into that right now because shenanigans now ensue. Well, the Sisters of Sin both get whipped by the champion, Heart in the stomach, Blue in the face, which I don't think was part of the plan, but either way, it worked in disrupting the match at definitely the moment that the world champion was going to get the win on Tekla. Don't tell her I said that. Chris has her back to Tekla right now, and she is raining down curses at Sky Blue. And this is all the opening Tekla needs. She whips the world champion around by pulling the strap. Tekla bursts with power straight through Stat with the spear. As Stat lays out on the mat, still bleeding absolutely everywhere, Tekla rolls her over and ties the strap around her wrists. Stat has no way to protect herself from the curb stomp this time, which Tekla successfully connects with the back of her head. This time, Tekla rolls Stat's limp body over onto her back, pins her shoulders down, and holy fly! Fregos, people. Fregos? Okay. The world championship just got fucking toxic. Woo! As Tekla's music hits the arena, the crowd are stunned. But there are also some very, happy, toxic people as well. Ref Aubrey presents the world championship to Tekla, and with the glow of gold on her face, you can see relief, happiness, and exhaustion all at the one time. She has, you can't say she hasn't, fought hard. And in the end, a bit dastardly, she won the world championship. And for now, it is hers. The Sisters of Sin get into the ring, and Tekla realizes that she is still connected to Stat. Tekla rips the strap off as quickly as she can, and then holds her world championship up high with her Sisters of Sin in the Triangle of Madness. All three stand victorious over Chris Statlander, who did her best to overcome all the odds, but didn't know she would then have to deal with the dastardly Sisters of Sin. And as payment for battling so valiantly, the Sisters of Sin start booting and beating the utter shite out of Chris Statlander. Of course, Blue was the first to get this going. She cannot resist the moment to hurt someone. But Julia, quickly mounts Chris and rains down literal hands on her bloody face. No one is here to help the former world champion, the Cosmic Killer, Chris Statlander. Willow and Harley, they're still in Oz. for Grand Slam. But the music of someone else hits. And all of a sudden, Winter and Hayter come running down to the ring with hammers in hand. And the Triangle of Madness get the fuck out of the ring. Whew. Tickler and Hayter have history together, but Hayter was more interested in threatening the Sisters of Sin. Brawling Birds, who I wish were called the Brawling Birds, Broads, but there's got to be something around that, are probably looking at them right now to start their road to the titles. And I'm going to start my road to the water. Excuse me. But tonight is the night for the Triangle of Madness to celebrate. And they leave the ringside area victorious. I'm very happy. Yes, there were dastardly things. I know. Yes, there's a whoopsie question mark written in very tiny writing next to this one. But are you going to tell the Triangle of Madness that? I shall certainly not be telling the Triangle of Madness that. I have no intention of doing such a thing. So you deal with your own consequences. As we leave Dynamite sublimely toxic, it is time to go down under, as some might say. Though I wouldn't. I would be calling it over the ditch. But I digress. We don't have to go into those sort of geography semantics. Grand Slam is slamming us people all the way from Sydney, and it is packed to the rafters with Australians. Also, only we are allowed to take the piss out of the Australians and vice versa. It's like a Southern Hemisphere family thing, so everyone else stay out of it. If you start doing it, it's a hate crime, okay? But no bullshit though. There are probably more Kiwis living in Oz than there are in the entire of Aotearoa. There's definitely more Kiwis living abroad than there are at home. If we all got deported back home, our population growth would be fucked. We would be absolutely fucked. Oh no, they would be grumpy too. Oh my God, all those Kiwis, if they were made to come home, we would never hear the end of it. We never would. To open up our Grand Slam, we get a pre-taped promo from the victor and the loser of the world title strap match. With blood still pouring down the side of her face and in stunning lighting, Stat delivers her promises to Tekla. Tekla is still pumping with adrenaline and not only holds her new world championship, but she is still playing with that bloody strap, literally and figuratively. Tekla managed to escape that match without bleeding her own blood. Will she be so lucky next time they battle? I don't think so. Next up is the match that I have been waiting for since before the tag titles were even announced. I have wanted this for one particular wrestler in particular since the first time she ever teamed up with the Bunny back in 2021 when there was meant to be a tag team. And I'm not going to be jaded throughout the rest of this episode. But I'm going to try real hard to not be jaded through the rest of this episode. I'll just forget that I know what's happened and we'll just enjoy the journey. Okay. But because we live in wacko world of kayfabe over here, I'm going to allow myself to indulge in some appropriate complaining when the time comes. So let's get into it, shall we? Megabad even came out in my favorite battle gear, the blue and the red one from All In Wembley with the detailing and the gold. Rude. Their music hits and they come out to the entrance stage and enter phase one of the best entrance ever. Penelope is crowned. Megan is head dressed, making her look 12 feet tall. As fire erupts on either side, Mega Bad make their way to the ring, Ford reminding everyone that they must bow down as they go. In my defense, I'd also like to point out that my rage is fueled by the fact that there are musical interlude ads during this match. Not one, my dear sickos, but two. And reminding myself of that has already made me twitching my fingers in agitation. So we should probably just get on with it. When we come back from a previously on segment, just as Megabad are finishing phase two of World's Greatest Battle Entrance and looking back on it, I think AEW are just trying to wind me up. We come back from a previously on segment, just as Megabad are finishing phase two of World's Greatest Battle Entrance. The arena, and yeah, everyone goes wild. Da 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 da, all that clappity clappity clappity. They are in matching white gear with gold trim and green stars on their boudoirs, which I assume represents the stars of the Australian flag. How you can tell the difference between ours and theirs is literally just looking at the stars. Oz's are like all white and they have like this big giant ass one under the Union Jack and like the others are in the form of the Southern Cross doohickey. Ours are red, like a white border, and it's only the Southern Cross, flingly flangly. Highly original, but you know, colonizers. The babies of wrath are up to the max. Holly is in her home country. Will is here as a double champ. And even though they lost the match against Megabad previously, they don't give a flying fuck and they are full of confidence. Babes of Wrath get into the ring and battle pose for power. In the crowd, there is a fan dressed as Harley, and I thought she looked absolutely amazing with like her world belt and everything. Harley Cameron is going to be facing off against Megan Bain to start off this battle, and she explodes at the Megasis with a battle cry and completely takes Bain off like by surprise. Cameron glomps onto Megan and rains down hands into Bane's head. The crowd are screaming their hearts out. Aussies, what are you going to do with them? Bane runs her right into the corner and gets Cameron off of her. But as she turns around to face Harley and clobber her with the lariat, Harley whips out of that corner and starts booting Bane in the midsection. Penelope Ford has had enough of all of this bollocks, okay, and comes into the ring to assist her partner in removing the wild Harley. Willow let this uninvited double team go on, though, and she too gets into the ring and deals with Ford. The Babes of Wrath whip Ford into Megan Bain, take her out, and then they whip her into, well, what are they doing? No, they're taking Penelope out and then sending her into the opposite corner. Holly splashes on Megan. Willow lariats Penelope. And then they both ride the pound bus into Megabad. Penelope gets taken out of the corner and then pound bus? What's the pound bus? They both ride the pain bus? It's meant to be pain. What is the pound bus? What is the bus? Jesus Christ. We're going back to Harley splashes on Megan. My word. Shenanigans. Shenanigans are in the script. I shenaniganed myself. Harley splashes on Megan. Willow lariats Penelope, and then they both ride the pain bus into Megabad. Penelope gets taken out of the corner, and then she is run through by the stiff short arm lariat from Willow. Even though Penelope Ford isn't the legal man for her team, Babes of Wrath put the Cazadora splash onto Penelope, but she gets her knees up just in time to block that double team, and Harley gets all the wind knocked out of her. And she is the one that's legal for her team. Bane, all of a sudden, comes running out of the corner like a rocket and tackles Willow, who tumbles to the mat, and she rolls out under the ropes. Penelope Ford is also rolling out of that ring, and they both get back into their own corners. Bane throws Harley into her corner and plants her there with a stiff knee to the stomach. Bane tags in Penelope, and as Bane is getting out of the ring and simultaneously basking in her own glory, Penelope Ford is stomping Harley Cameron further into that corner of that ring. Penelope must listen to the ref and cease her stomping immediately. To which Penelope finally does, but she also smushes her butt into Cameron's face as she's talking back at the ref. And if the ref doesn't see it, it never happens. So Ford gets away with her literal cheekiness. She tags in Bane, and Megabad's quick tags start getting into a real good rotation. Megan Bain goes back to brutally kneeing Carly Cameron in the gut, whilst Penelope mocks her and the crowd out from the apron area. Megan rearranges some organs with in Harley's body with those knees. I'm sure they looked brutal. Bain gives Ford a look and she walks away. While Bane taunts Willow, Penelope Ford grabs Harley by the hair, but instead of this working out for them, Bane gets a boot to the face and Ford receives a back elbow that sends her flying off the apron. Distraction shenanigans did not win. Harley escapes the corner and dives over to her side of the ring, and she tags in the hero of the locker room, Willow Nightingale. The crowd roar as Willow gets into the ring to face the Megasis. Willow is activated and she hammers forearms into the chest of Bane. With a battle cry, Willow runs to the ropes for some momentum. As she comes back, Bane body slams her back into the ropes. Bane tries to run off the ropes for her own momentum, but she ends up running back into the clutches of a recovered Willow, who ducks her lariat and flings her over her head with a beautiful German suplex. Willow gets to her head. No, she does not get to her head. She gets to her feet. Adrenaline is pumping through everything. Bane continues to roll out of the ring and she slowly tumbles to the floor. Penelope is back in the ring and catches the TBS champion off guard with a surprise boot to the stomach. Excuse me. Penelope goes for the springboard cutter, but Willow yoinks her out of midair and flings her over her head. Penelope lands with a thud, and now she rolls out to the ring, to where she finds Megan Bane, also getting to her feet. They have but a moment to acknowledge one another before Willow comes flying at both of them with the cannonball off the apron, and they both get taken the fuck out. The hero of the locker room gets to her feet immediately and unleashes a battle cry from the depths. Willow rolls Megabad back into the ring, and once again, Penelope gets sent into Bane in the corner. This time, Willow follows and gives them both a back body slam, crushing all of the air out of Megabad at the same time. Willow removes them from the corner, climbs the ropes, and winds up a shotgun dropkick that takes Megabad off of their feet. Willow, rightly, basks in her double championship glory, and the fans respond appropriately as Ford and Bane lay crumpled in a heap. By the time Willow goes to pin Bane, she only gets a 1, but Bane still stumbles when she gets to her feet. Bane counters the Irish whip, but Willow cartwheels out of it, and she quickly comes back at Bane with an enzuigiri. But Bane sees it coming, and she avoids that kick. Bane grabs Willow in her arms and then flings her over her head. It's now her turn with a fall-away slam, both to cause her damage and also to get Willow the fuck away from her. Bane adjusts her jaw before getting to her feet. Willow has accidentally rolled into the worst corner of the ring at this moment in time, and Penelope makes her pay with some smack talk and standing on her ankle, keeping it at a real gross angle. Willow makes her pay with an elbow to the gut, but then Bane is back and on her, so Willow is now back in trouble. Megan short arm lariats her all over the ring until the crowd start clapping in unison for Willow. And then she breaks out of Megan's grasp with that power boost. Unfortunately for Willow, though, things did not continue to go as planned. And Bane runs right through her with a brutal lariat. Bane goes for the pin, but it is now Willow who kicks out at one. Which really pisses Bane off. She drags Willow over to her corner by the hair and tags in Penelope. Penelope Ford chops Spice. Oh, she chops Spice into Willow's life, who's then dragged over to the ropes and rope choked. Penelope only has until 5, but she makes every second count, and Megabad bask in their collective glory. Cameron is going insane on the apron, trying everything she can do to keep the fans ramped up so Willow can absorb the power. But Willow is still in the wrong side of the ring. She does manage to lift Penelope up onto her shoulders, but as she turns, Megan tags herself in. Ford engages Kicky feet and gouges Willow's eyes with her fingernails until she releases her. Instantly, Penelope goes into Matrix mode and swings her legs up into a handstand, capturing Willow's head with her boots. Megan runs off the top rope and then plows a boot through the face of Willing Nightingale. Willing? The unwilling Willow Nightingale. I have absolutely no idea now what happens next because this is when we have the compulsory musical interlude. And when I saw that, my mood dropped into the abyss. Fury erupted. Birds fled their nests. Rain sucked itself up back into the clouds. And even the grass did not grow on that day. I don't know who it is or who it isn't in charge of such things. But you know that you have made an enemy for life. Just know that. By the time we are back, Bane is on the mat, crawling for Penelope to take the tag, and Willow is very close to tagging in Harley. They both tag in at the same time, and Ford manages to run right into the lariat from Cameron. Cameron avoids Ford's lariat, rude, and almost takes Penelope's head off with the sling blade. Harley lay in some heavy hands to the downed Penelope, and then battle cries to the crowd with a but in Australian. But before she can lock in her finishing move, Megan Bane gets into the ring and locks her arms around Harley's waist. Harley throws Penelope to the side and gets Bane off of her with a back elbow. Harley runs in off the ropes and rides Megan Bane for the satellite DDT, driving Bane's head into the mat. Megabad regather in the ring, but they still are out of it because they do nothing to stop Harley Cameron taking them both out with a diving crossbody. Cameron continues to dominate Megabad on her own until Penelope manages to counter the whip back into back on to Harley, and she goes head first into Megan's boat. Penelope zooms off the ropes, boots Harley in the side of the face, and then twists around so she can take Cameron down for the pin after Megan boots Cameron one more time in her gorgeous face. The champion's bonus does not allow her to eat this pin though, and Cameron kicks out at 2. Bane instantly calls upon Penelope to give her the tag and go for their finish. The bow down, aka the doomsday device, all right? Bane hoists Cameron up onto his shoulders, but before Ford can climb the ropes, Willow appears out of nowhere again and grabs her leg. Penelope manages to kick her off and decides that she should probably deal with Willow first instead of flying at Cameron with the lariat. Ford perfectly moonsaults out to the floor and takes out Willow. This delay, though, has given Harley the time to counterweight her situation, and she rolls up the Megasis for the pin. She cannot keep her down, though, and Megan kicks out at 2. Both wrestlers get to their feet, but Cameron hits with the first high kick to the face of Bane. Bane reverses the whip from Harley, but Harley counters out of it herself in very impressive fashion. Whilst handstanding on the ropes, she lures Megan Bane, who then gets caught in by Harley's legs. And with some fancy but very violent dance moves, Cameron takes Bane off her feet, and now Harley has the Megasus's leg in her control and sits down deep for a single leg crab. Harley is putting everything into the submission. She doesn't even notice that Penelope has gone into the ring until Ford drop kicks her into oblivion. And even then, I think it took her a little while to notice. Willow rolls into the ring, takes out Penelope, who's in mid battle cry, with a stiff, stinging chop to the chest. But as Willow is shaking out the sting from that chop, Bane has made her a target. And just as Willow turns around, Bane explodes with power and takes Willow off of her feet with a shotgun dropkick. Harley is up, and it's now her chance to take aim at the Megasus. She boots Bane in the stomach and then very impressively takes her out with an Aussie destroyer. And everyone is down as the crowd chant their appreciation for this match, as they should. The two teams face off against each other and exchange shots while getting to their feet. Megabad's fury breaks through the Babes of Wrath and they simultaneously crack them with forearms until Harley and Willow are up against the ropes. The Babes counter the twin Irish whips from Megabad and they take the Megasus out with a Russian leg sweep pump kick double teamy combo thing. Harley tags in Willow to exchange ownership of pin power, and they combine to form the backpack senton that smooshes all of the air out of Megan Bane. Willow goes for the pin, but Megan is still capable, and she kicks out at two. Willow gets a plan and hits Megan Bane onto his shoulders and calls out to Harley to get ready. Harley tags in and Willow dumps Bane onto the mat with a Death Valley driver. Harley climbs the ropes with a senton, but as she is in mid-flight, Bane rolls out of the way and Harley crashes down onto the mat. Willow has gone to take out Penelope, but that backfired when Ford pulled down on the top rope and Willow topples over the top and topples over the top and goes down to the floor. Megan Bane stumbles over to her corner and tags in Ford, but instead of rolling out of the ring, Bane crawls to the corner and pulls herself up to her feet, ready for some double teaming shenanigans. Ford brings Harley up to her feet, but Cameron very smartly grabs Penelope's head and cracks it down onto her own for a jawbreaker. Tough as fuck, Penelope Ford shakes that off pretty quickly, avoids the incoming lariat from Cameron, and then nails her with the Matrix Stunner. This is what Bane has been waiting for, and she explodes out of the corner with the flying lariat decapitator. As Penelope climbs the ropes, Megan Bane torpedoes herself through the ropes, and she takes out Willow, almost sending them both through the announce table. Penelope hits the canvas, and now it's Harley that rolls out of the way. Cameron grabs Penelope, twists her around, and then pins her shoulder to the mat with a backslide, and that is how the Babes of Wrath win. And I'm blaming them on my mess-ups this entire time. Penelope rolls herself out of the ring in dramatic fashion as the Babes of Wrath get their hands raised in victory with gold in hand. Megabad are enraged, though, and still battle with the Babes of Wrath with fighting words from the outside. Inside the ring, though, the Babes of Wrath have a little visitor. But she is not here to make friends with the tag team champions. Lena Cross yoinks Holly Cameron, and before she can even register, Cross has taken her out with the Crossbreaker, which is an Ushi Goroshi, and Cameron is out. Willow doesn't get enough time to figure out what's going on either before she gets taken out by a spear from the Megasus. Bane and Cross step up to each other, but this actually must have been part of a plan because Penelope Ford gets into the ring, and instead of them attacking Cross, they seem to be aligned with Cross. Penelope has the TBS championship and Willow's tag title in hand, and she gives them to Bane. Penelope then grabs Harley's title and they taunt the crowd whilst posing with titles. Sidebar, you're not going to win me with that little dangle there, TK. Now, Lena Cross is huge, and she is from Perth in Western Australia and has been in wrestling for years. I would also like to point out that Western Australia is basically the other third of Australia. It's fucking cute. She has won a bunch of titles, including tag championships with Vinny. I know Vinny. And if I am remembering correctly, we have also seen Vinny on Dark. And they are amazing. Love them. That was for Sendai Girls. Her longest reign to date is 2,317 days as the Indie Girls with a Z Australia champion. Lena has battled all over the world and has spent a long time fighting in Japan. In her 8 years, including teaming up with Megan Bayne to fight Mia Yamashita and Billy Starks. Cross has battled once before in AEW against the now former world champion Chris Statlander. But she is now actually all elite and aligned with Megabad. We shall see what happens. Three three more Aussies, and now in AEW. And one, switchblade. Anyway, the final match in our story over here is the glass in the match filled to the absolute brim with equality against Marina and fucking Yuta and the Timeless Crush, Orange Cassidy, and Toni Storm. Timeless Crush comes out first, but separately, as stars of their caliber do, both in jeaned battle gear. Timeless adds drama to her own with the added sheer white flowing robe and has the most outlandishly fabulous billowing cuffs. She's taking the lead and Timeless floats down to the ring as the crowd cheers. Timeless scampers up the steel steps and gets into the ring. With a final flourish, Timeless completes the battle entrance and the sound of the Death Riders take over. Fucking Yuta and Marina are in their dark corners of the marina. They're in their dark corners of the arena, bathed in red light. And Fluffums looks like he's twirling something there. As we get out into the proper light, we can see that he has plaited Mina's hair into his arm like an absolute complete psycho. Marina is giving the fingers to the entire crowd, and she gets so into doing that she noticed that Timeless Crush have run out to ambush them until fucking Yuta is getting taken out. Now, Tony then comes straight at Marina and clobbers her first. It's a tornado tag match, people. Shit can happen everywhere. So the ref singles? The ref may be single, but that's not what I'm here to discuss. The ref signals for the bell. Marina cracks Tony in the ribs and then continues to beat Timeless with her hoodie further into the crowd. Storm comes raging back at the problem with closed fists to her face. Her barrel curls are bouncing with every punch. Dangerous Shafir is deadly with all of her limbs, though, and she gets a stiff knee into the Storm's midsection. She doubles her over and then politely asks the fan if they wouldn't mind scooching over, so Marina can plonk Tony's face into her seat. Marina takes a seat on Toni Storm's head and then beckons for another fan to pass her a drink. The fan obliges because they know their role, and Marina takes a big, refreshing gulp. Removing the straw first. She got on with these fans. Toni is released from her side gig as Marina's chair, and she gets to get her revenge via a spicy, skin-slicing chop to the chest. One more sends Marina on a painful retreat up the stairs, but Storm won't allow her to get far. Storm grabs a handful of Marina's hair and drags her into the crowd. They fight by the steel barricade, dividing the fans from fuck off. Dividing the fans from some gear cabinets and some such they got there. They continue to brawl as Tony steps over that fence. She has some plans for the problem, but before she can execute that plan, Fluffums and fucking self comes out of nowhere and hammer fist down on Storm's back. That dirty dog yoinks the former world champion and pile drives her head through those cabinets. He releases her body, and Tony tumbles down between the gear. The crowd very rightly boos this dastardly man. And I'm surprised no one tried to take him out, if I'm honest. Now, sidebar. I screamed from my throne, aka the couch, the fucking equality! When this spot happened, as you could only fucking imagine, nothing makes me happier than women gets the badass equality that they so rightly deserve, even if it means being pile driven through a solid gear case. I am all for it. Back to fun. Fucking Yuta is living his best life right now as the boos rain down upon him. Marina and Fluffums exchange the Death Rider handshake and she goes forth in search for Orange. Does not take long for Marina to find him, and Marina takes off her shoes and starts whacking Cassidy with it. Orange is all alone right now. Luther has airlifted the former two-time world champion out to the back for some medical attention. And inside the ring, Orange is getting double teamed to all hell. The crowd boo as loud as they can, but Cassidy is at the mercy. Cassidy is at the mercy of Marina and fucking Yuta, and they have none to give. We get a rude musical interlude, and when we come back, Marina seems to be dancing the dance of death with Orange Cassidy. What happened there? The crowd have awoken with cheers, which is confusing until we see that the time is and with a right pissed off looking Luther, not far behind her. Tony Storm drives a knee straight through fucking Yuta's balls. He drops immediately as Timeless stomps her way into the ring to deal with the problem. Storm clambers up onto the apron. The look on her face seems to not have changed since that pile driver, but she has locked it onto Marina Shafir. Timeless Tony Storm Germans the absolute funk out of Shafir twice, and Tony Storm unleashes a battle cry from the deepest of depths. The crowd are all on their fate and go fight. They're all on their fight. The crowd are all on their feet and are going bonkers. A stumbling Orange Cassidy swoons into Tony's arms. As soon as he sees her face above him, an instant stamina boost gets injected straight into the vein of Orange, and a literal dance of violence ensues. Marina gets hit with a one and a two, straight to the jaw. But Marina catches more than fists as the dance bug nips her in the butt, and she dances judo rings right around the jaw. Tony gets an uncomfortable knee to the stomach, not once, not twice, but thrice, and then gets yoinked by Orange Cassidy and slammed into the mat by a beach break. Ha ha! Fucking Yuta then bursts into the ring, sweeps his blanket of hair out of his face, and takes a full view of the carnage in front of him. It seems like he is weighing up the consequences of allowing Marina to eat that pin, and therefore it will be her having her head shaved. In the end, though, fucking Yuta decides to break up the pin, and Marina's hair is saved. To add more heat to his reputation, Fluffums kicks Tony out of the ring and she falls to the outside. He mocks her with a wave and the crowd taught him back. Crowd taught him? They taught him through taunting. Marina and Orange end up being alone in the ring. Cassidy waits way too long contemplating whether he will Orange punch Shafir or not. And by the time he decides to go for it, Marina has organized a cunning plan and rolls him up in a pin. When Cassidy kicks out of it, Marina keeps hold of one leg, twists him around, and tries to get his knee into a submission. But the very wriggly orange rolls onto his back once again. Marina still has his leg though and decides to put him in an ankle lock. Fucking Yuta gets his butt back into the ring and starts mocking Cassidy as he is in agonizing pain. Fluffums is so focused on being a dickhead that he doesn't even notice Tony Storm is in the ring and she glomps on the TCM chicken wing. Excuse me. Fucking Yuta is flailing around like an unattached false eyelash in the wind, but Storm gets him to his knees right in front of Marina. Shafir is screaming at Fluffums not to tap, and in the end, until Stony Storm decides that she has had enough of all that noise, both wrestlers fling their wrestlers, both wrestlers fling their wrestlers to the side. And they decide to square up. Marina cracks Tony's chest with a brutal chop and then yells at Timeless to give her a best shot. Tony Storm hammers Marina's chest with multiple forearms, but that's not enough for the problem, and she yells at Timeless to do better. Shafir then kicks her straight in the face, which awakens the Timeless one enough to smash Marina's face with a headbutt. Fucking Yuta then fucking Yuta's out of the corner and explodes with a psycho knee. A psycho loco psycho knee right through Tony Storm's face and covers her for the pin. Orange thankfully slides into the ring just in time and breaks up the pin. Bitch, shit really hits the fan for the Death Riders when Fluffums demolishes Marina's face with another Psycho knee. And she now rolls out of the ring. Orange gives her no time to recover and takes her out completely with a tope suicida through the ropes. Tony Storm activates and yoinks, regretting his choices, Yuta, and German suplexes the shite out of him. He ends up in the corner of the ring, and Timeless boots her, blah, 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 blah. Timeless boosts her damage bonus with a battle cry. Runs straight through fucking Yuta with a hip attack. Not the most complicated sentence. Orange is in the ring and Tony sends Fluffums into his orange punch. Timeless completes the destruction of him with a Storm Zero, and Timeless Crush get the motherfucking win. The entire crowd goes absolutely bazonkers, and my brain is fried. As soon as they get their hands raised in victory, Mina Shirakawa is already getting into the ring with a stool. Luther slides all the hairdressing utensils, including the blue liquid, as is tradition, into the ring. This is all too much for fucking Yuta. This is happening way too quickly. And he toddler tantrums himself out of the ring. He's not going to allow this haircut to take place. No, 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 no. Moxley and the rest of the Death Riders, though, are not going to allow him to make a fool out of himself and the Death Riders by going against his word. A dejected Fluffums walks back into the ring and takes a seat. And we all take a moment to say goodbye to the mop that was fucking Yuta. But that is not the most shocking part, I have to say, because Marina becomes very human in Fluffum's final moment and takes him very gently by the hand. She will be there right beside him the whole time. And that moment was quite sweet. Mina is the first to cut fucking Yu's hair. She twists up a real rough handful of it and just starts chomping away with gleeful joy. His hair is getting cut and pulled out simultaneously, and Yuta is yelling at Mina to stop and that she is hurting him. But Mina only needs to take a quick moment to scan the ring to realize she had absolutely no fucks to give about this and keeps chopping away until the handful of hair finally becomes hers. A joyous Mina hands Tony the scissors, and Timeless starts snipping away with a few more chunks. When the clippers get brought into play, she finishes off the design and Mox has seen enough. Fluffums looks a state and it can't help it can't help seeing timeless Tony Storm rolling around in the hair that was once on his head. She pokes the bear more by throwing hair at Marina, but she doesn't retaliate. In fact, she looks a little bit mesmerized with anger, of course. But I don't think Shafira is going to be done with Timeless Tony Storm. And we end the show with a fade to black on those absolute shenanigans. Oh, yeah. I absolutely love that Moxley had to drag him back in. It was brilliant. So all the crew, they flew back to the land of United question mark states for a sold out show in Sacramento, California. And this crowd is also hyped, as they should be, because we have a fancy pants four-way for the hero of the locker room's TBS title to get on with. Marina Shirakawa opens the show with her strong desires for the TBS title. Willow is next. And at first, she looks a little bit concerned. I mean, this is very cheeky of TK. The woman has just had a tough battle for tag titles, a round trip to Oz, and now is like straight into a four-way for her title against three very, very tough opponents. I hope that he gets a clip around the ears from her before she comes out to battle this evening. But our hero of the locker room pumps herself up and out of the blues. And those cheeks get filled with the power of positivity. The Megasis, the All Elite Goddess, reminds us that gold does indeed belong with her. I couldn't agree more. We get a wink from Bane, and I automatically wink back, and we slide into Dynamite. Marina Shafir has no promo to give, and I don't think that's a slight, but more of a sign of respect for her time. We already know. Maru, the remarkable in a tan oversized waistcoat, Renee Paquette, got some words with Orange earlier in the day. Renee is wearing another long-term friend of the show, the pearl and giant safety pin brooch and the cluster of delicate gold necklaces hang from her neck also. Tomohiro Ishii is here, and that's not for us, unfortunately. So we leave with the remarkable smile of Renee Paquette. It's time to battle it up with four badass babes. Hey, to see who will come out the TBS champion. Marina is the first to come out to the ring from the dark shadows of the back. Oh no, she scrolled way too far up. Oh, she scrolled too far. There she is. Marina Shafir jump scares us from the blackened staircase, and she walks towards she walks towards the ring through the red light and connects power knuckles with her fellow Death Riders before walking out into the crowd. No bullshit. Sacramento are really excited to see Marina. Shafir even has a massive smile on her face, which is endearing yet terrifying. She's doing me the personal favor, which is very much appreciated. Not one finger was raised in anger for this crowd. Interesting. But before we can ponder on whatever the fuck that was all about, the sounds of Mega Band hit the arena. Penelope Ford accompanies Megan Bain for her epic entrance phase one, but must obey thy rules for this match and not accompany her ringside. Megabad are stunning in their white, blue, and gold expensive China battle gear. Fire erupts appropriately on either side, and Ford gives Megasis some very encouraging words of violence. Robbed! Robbed, I tell you. Megan Bain walks like a tanned statue down to the ring, literally and figuratively looking down on everybody. The Megasis gets into the ring, but Marina is still on the outside, bouncing. A lot of bouncing. What gets me bouncing comes on next, and that is the music of Mina Shirakawa. And no matter how innocent that is, it sounds dirty, so I'm addressing that right now and getting it out of my head. It's not purely innocent. Mina Shirakawa comes out to the entrance stage and powers up with her battle dance. She wears her long white and gold battle coat with the pom-poms and the bells and the feathers. They are a-flying with every gesture is made by Shirakawa. Mina has new battle gear on tonight. It is a gorgeous deep blue which sparkles under the lights. White and blue panels break it up, and the straps are most definitely up thy wazoo. But it is time for the most happiest music of them all, the hero of the locker room, John Moxley's greatest fear, Willow Nightingale. Willow comes out, claps in hand, her title around her waist, and the TBS title, well, her tag title around her waist, and her TBS title slung over her shoulder. She is in her deep wine purple battle gear with the white trim, and it's as sparkly as wrestling tradition. Akariora makes the last introduction, doing me the personal favor, in a stunning long flowing dress with spaghetti strips. As Bane and Marina get back into the ring, they share a look. If that means what I think it means, one, that's not good for Willow and Mina. And two, how long will this alliance take to collapse? Marina and Bane lure Mina and Willow into a test of strength and then psychs them out with stiff forearms instead. Bane takes out the TBS champion and Marina takes out Mina because they really want to make it really hard for me to say Marina and Mina, throwing her into and then out through the ropes. Bane calls Marina over for a double team shenanigans while she has Willow up against the ropes. The Megasis whips Willow towards Marina and she kicks the life out of her. Marina chops into Willow's chest and Nightingale can't help but let out a cry of pain. Shafir moves aside so Megan Bane can get in on this action, and lucky for Willow, Bane manages to chop her in the exact same place Marina just had. She was stoked. Megan whips Willow into the opposite corner, and Willow just has enough time to turn her back into it before she hits chest first. Marina follows with a chest-crushing forearm and multiple elbows into her stomach. Willow gets her whipped. Oh, Willow. Woo! Willow gets whipped again, and this time the Megasis clotheslines her out of existence. Things go south for this devilish twosome, though, when the Megasis tries to use Marina as a weapon. Shafir instead gets the elbow to the face, and Megasis runs in for a stinger splash, but she gets Willow's boot firmly planted in her face. As the Megasis staggers, Marina circles and then runs in at Willow, but ends up being hoisted up and over the ropes. While the crowd chant her name, Willow cracks the problem in the face with an elbow. Willow rounds up a lariat and sends the Megasis toppling backwards out of the ring and down onto the floor with Marina Shafir. The crowd are going wild. And have you noticed I have taken on a strange accent during the reading of this, but we're going with it because we're concentrating. Bane and Shafir gather together to rein strength in, but they end up becoming a perfect mass of flesh for our TBS champion to cannonball into instead. And cannonball off the apron, she does. Marina and Megan crash to the ground. Willow rolls through and gets to her feet instantly, and it's high fives all round for a couple of lucky fans, and then Willow goes forth back into battle. Marina and Bane get helped to their feet by Willow, grabbing a good handful of hair from each wrestler. Mina is up and climbing the ropes and trying to get Willow's attention, but Willow can't hear her through though, and so ends up becoming a part of Mina's landing pad. She comes flying down from the top rope with her fabulous diving crossbody. Mina is on her feet in a flash and celebrates with the crowd by dancing her little tush off. Mina yanks Marina and rolls her into the ring. She gets in via her springboard tornado into a pin, but Marina kicks out of that by two. Shirakawa shakes off the frustration and grabs Marina for battle. Shafir is extra mad now, though, and she cuts through Mina's defenses, first with some spicy chops, and instead of pinning Shirakawa, Mina kicks her out of the ring instead so she can circle it alone menacingly and also shake out the pain in that one arm. Mina is in the ring before Marina can even notice, and it adds to her woes with a clobbering forearm shot to the back of, oh, from the TBS champion. Unfortunately for Willow, though, the Megasis has also managed to be as equally sneaky and brings a double hammer fist down right in between Willow's shoulder blades. Dun dun dun! Surprisingly, Bane checks in on Marina, but before they can reform, Willow caves in both of their chests with a stiff double chop. The TBS champion does a very impressive double lung blower to Shafir and Bane, and I don't think I have ever seen anyone do that before. Marina and Bane stumble back into opposite corners, which is very helpful for Willow. Megan gets a back body splash. Marina gets a full steam lariat body smush, and then she gets whipped into Bane. Marina smushes Bane, and then both get mega smooshed by the Stinger Splash from Willow. Considering these two damaging moves come at quick succession, Marina Shafir manages to recover her wits quite quickly and redirects the incoming Megasis, and they avoid clashing heads. Willow was taking a moment to recover in the very unsafe corner of the ring and receives multiple shots to the ab from Marina. Hoist Shafir hoists Willow up onto the top ropes for some reason, and this height advantage gives Willow the opportunity to crack Marina in the skull. I don't think that was the plan. Unfortunately for Willow, but you gotta be honest, thankfully for us, Megan Bane bounds up those ropes, battle cries out to the crowd, and leaps onto Willow for the Hurricane Runner, flinging her flying across the ring. The whole crowd erupt with impressive cheers. Marina awkwardly glomps onto Willow with her head sisters. Head sisters. I don't think so. Could be. Maybe in the future. But no, she was actually glomping onto Willow with her head scissors in the ropes. And a tiger fate DDTs her face into the apron, and Willow falls down to the floor, head first. Mina has appeared out of nowhere, but she gets yoinked by the Megasis pretty quickly, and now Shirakawa is on Bane's shoulders, and this all starts to look very familiar. If Mina cannot get out of this, she is going to become a flying missile again. Mina does end up becoming a missile once again, and even Marina gets taken out by the flying Shirakawa. All three wrestlers are out on the floor in a lot of pain, while the Megasis takes a moment to bask in her glory. Mina, oh no, it's not Mina, unfortunately. She doesn't fuck about for long though, and gets out of the ring to grab a wrestler. And Mina Shirakawa is the Megasis's lucky pick. Bane rolls her into the ring as Shafir recovers pretty quickly and starts stomping out on the TBS champion. Megan puts her boot on Mina's chest and demands that the ref makes the count for the pin. It's an ego pin, not a truthful pin. Meant to more embarrass Mina, really, instead of beat her. Bane demolishes Mina Shirakawa with four very short arm lariats and drops her limp body down to the mat. Shafir takes this as an opening, yoinks Mina's body, and then snaps her back down onto the mat into a very nasty looking headlock pin. But before the ref can even count to two, Megan Bane boots Marina Shafir the hell off Mina. Instead of getting pissed about it, though, like I honestly thought she was going to, Marina gives Megan a smile, which is always creepy, and they go back to double teaming on Mina Shirakawa. Mina has no chance to counter the onslaught of these two and gets her eyes raked across the top rope by Marina and then sent into the arms of Megan Bane, who hoists her up into a delayed vertical blue thunder bomb of pain, and she goes for the pin. But Willow is in the ring finally and breaks it up just in the nick of time. Marina stops any momentum out of Willow that she may have had by that pin breakup with some faith-killing shots to the midsection. As the problem snaps the TBS champion into the mat with another judo throw, the crowd start chanting out Willow's name. This ends up powering up Marina Shafir instead, though, and she mocks the crowd before almost snapping Willow's leg with a powerful looking submission. Willow manages to roll herself out of it and kicks Shafir off of her. To everyone's surprise, Marina Shafir cartwheels out of harm's way and kicks Willow in the back so hard that the sound can still be heard through the chants of the crowd. Marina continues to mock that chanting crowd, as is tradition, while Megan forces Willow through the ropes and then pulls her body backwards, exposing Willow's entire torso to Bane. Marina and Bane double team up on Willow. Marina kicks her in the stomach while Bane pounds down on Willow's chest with bone-cracking forearms, and the ref cannot do jack shit to stop it. Four-way rules, baby. No DQ. Willow punches Marina in the stomach, and then she and Bane have their own kind of test of strength and battle against each other for the first to suplex the other. Willow wins this battle, but she soon has to start a new battle with Marina. But then a wild Mina appears, the blue, in blue, and battle cries and attack at Marina. Shafir avoids it, but that doesn't matter to Marina. She changes up the plan, avoids Marina's incoming whatever the fuck, and knocks Marina silly with a step-in gum and getty. Mina is activated and ducks the incoming Megan Bane. Bane gets a spin kick to the stomach that doubles Bane over. Mina spies a springboard and she uses Bane's back to springboard 20 low, press onto Marina, and she goes for a quick pin. But as the ref starts to count, Megan takes matters into her own hands and attempts to senton down onto Mina. But Mina has kept her in her peripheral and moves out of the way just in time, and Bane comes crashing down onto Marina instead. The crowd is starting to get in behind Mina as she takes the Megasis down with a sling blade. Shirakawa calls to the ref to get in quick and make the count for the pin, but Willow makes it in just in time to break it up. Willow has 3 down wrestlers to choose from, and she picks Marina to receive a glorious spinebuster. Marina doesn't think this is great, but everyone else erupts into cheers. Willow almost gets yoinked by Megan Bane, but Willow is now activated, and she sends the Megasis into the ropes, and she too receives a glorious spinebuster from the TBS champion. Not even Spicy Hips herself, Mina Shirakawa, can escape the spinebuster party. Willow pins Mina Shirakawa, but all does not go well, and we end up with a 4-wrestler brawl in the ring. The 2 most powerful wrestlers of this match win the battle, and now it is between the Megasis and Willow. They clash meet in the middle of the ring, but a powered-up clothesline off the ropes from both wrestlers, will make them collide, and they both go down, but not for long. Very quickly, they are back on their feet and battling again until Willow hits the Megasis up and drives her into the canvas with a gorgeous Death Valley driver. Willow targets Marina, but instead gets herself caught by Shafir. And I'm sorry, Willow targets Marina, but instead gets caught by Shafir. Oh, she's targeted Marina, but she instead gets caught. You see? You understand now? And slammed into the mat with a gorgeous Yiranage. Mina yoinks Shafir's head and plants it into the ring with a DDT. The Megasis then springs into flight and takes Mina out with a decapitator and lets out a banshee of a battle cry. Everyone else has ended up rolling out to the same side of the ring, unfortunately for them, and stumble into each other. Megan Bane powers up and flies through the ropes and missiles herself into all 3 of them, getting back to her feet with another almighty battle cry from her utter depths. Bane rolls Mina into the ring, but Marina grabs her leg before Megan can get in herself. The furious Bane slowly turns to Marina, and to my surprise, their alliance lasted about 9 minutes and 24 seconds, which is a lot longer than I would have predicted. As the crowd chant, "This is awesome," Marina and Bane exchange elbows and come dangerously close to the most dangerous barricade in front of the timekeeper's desk. Fortunately, they get a bit of warning, they being in the timekeeper's area, get a bit of warning before Megan throws Marina onto their table out of the blue. That dastardly timekeeper's desk, though, went into business for itself and no sold that bump, causing Marina to bounce off it and land even more heavily onto the ground and whatever else is down there. Bane wastes no time getting back into the ring, and after walking on Mina, Bane climbs the ropes to fly once again. But out of nowhere, there's a lot of that. Willow springs up the ropes and stops whatever Bane had planned. Willow grabs a hold of Bane around the waist and adjusts her footing and sends Megan Bane flying over her head with an avalanche German suplex that flips Bane completely over, and she almost landed on her face. Mina Shirakawa has sprung alive and has climbed up the same ropes. She takes a moment to wind up the crowd and then sends an avalanche shotgun dropkick into Will Nightingale. Mina gives the TBS champion a rolling back elbow to the face, a rolling back fist to the back of Willow's head, and then quickly follows that with a spin kick that lands perfectly on Willow's jaw. Mina giggles for power while, oh, I'm sorry, not giggles, jiggles. Mina jiggles for power while awaiting for Willow to stumble into the perfect position, and then she strikes with a spinning back fist to that same part of the jaw, and Willow goes down. Mina unleashes a battle cry and calls for the figure four. But wait a minute, Willow isn't out. She's leaning forward. She catches Mina's head and then squishes her down for a cheeky little roll up. The ref counts the one, the two, the three, and Willow wins a la Timeless style. Mina, she can't believe it. She is utterly distraught. She was so close. Willow holds up her titles high in the air in celebration. She is spent, but a happy double champion. Megan Bain is fuming. She is talking shit. She's pacing backwards and forth and contemplating getting back into that ring. Willow extends her hand out to Mina and gives her the respect of a very well fought battle. Megan, still pacing, still glaring, still fuming. Marina is in a heap on the floor, clutching at her leg and grimacing in pain. Willow won't be intimidated by the Megasis, and that is infuriating the Megasis even more. Bane doesn't get back into the ring, though. She holds herself back. Marina does finally get back to her feet, but she is drenched in sweat and is pissed. I wonder if there will be a series of singles challenges after this now between Willow and these three wrestlers. Mina might want to redeem herself from that pin. I can definitely see the hunger for gold is still obviously very much in the Megasis's eyes. And as soon as Marina grabs some gold, that is hers. Poof. We shall see what happens. But for now, we already know that the Toxic World Champion won't be at this week's Dynamite because she was very kind enough to notify us all via social media. But we do get the Brolin Birds Gov. They are punk as fuck, especially Windsor. Her new gear is a shiny Union Jack with cutout magazine lettering, kidnappy stuff, like saying something. I cannot read it currently, but I will update you when I do actually know. I lost where I was and turned it into a silly little song. Hey, Hader is also in red and blue tartan with a Union Jack on her knee pad. Their battle entrance involves activating each other with double chops to the chest, bashing forearms, and then they are ready to stomp down to the ring. They are facing DCMD regular Viva Van, Becca with a 3, who we spoke about all the way back in episode 20. Becca and Viva Van coordinate their battle poses beautifully, and if they work together this well on entrances in battle, they will be giving the Brawling Birds a fight. Viva is in her black, purple, and silver battle gear with all the straps that we absolutely love. Becca, with a 3, is in a light blue, silver battle gear with a hint of pink, and sparkles are literally everywhere. Even more, as is wrestling tradition. We're getting into like ice skating tradition right here. They have the power of positivity coursing through their veins, and we wish them the world of luck. Windsor is facing off against Viva Van start off this battle. Two hard-hitting broads who love to get physical, and they lock up immediately. Windsor manages to power Viva back out into Viva back into the corner. Viva back into the corner of the ring pretty quickly and gives Viva a legal amount of beatdown. Windsor gives her space before the ref can even start a warning count. Viva runs at Windsor, but her head gets caught this time, and Alex squeezes her head in a very tight headlock. Van attempts some fancy footwork, but Windsor knows how to boogie and slaps the shite out of Viva Van. Viva absorbs two heavy clubs to her back, and Viva goes down to her knees. Windsor brings her back up to her feet, and Viva explodes into action with a forearm, uppercut, chop combo. And it is now Viva who is doing the squeezing on the head with a side headlock. Alex tries to punch her way out of Viva's grip, but Van's got her head in a vice. Tag team brain quickly kicks in, and Windsor forces Van backwards into the ropes, and Hayter gets the tag. Viva Van gets whipped into the ropes and catapults back into a whirlwind of destruction. Windsor atomic drops her in the punani. Hayter kicks Van in the stomach, but that is not even the end. Hayter stomps between the ropes to get massive momentum. Windsor rolls up Van and then catapults her into Jamie Hayter's incoming very highly momented boot. The Brawling Birds did not need to murder Van, so barely. Thank you. The crowd are just as riled up as the Brawling Birds are. And Hayter doesn't take long to mount Viva Van, who is still trying to recover from whatever that just was. Jamie hammers down forearms onto Viva Van's head, and Van can do nothing but cover up. Jamie gives no fucks Hayter, grabs a handful of Viva's hair and pulls her to her feet and then snaps her into oblivion with a very snappy suplex. As the crowd continue to encourage this debauchery, the Brawling Birds double team up on Viva Van once again. Acting like they've been a tag team for absolute years, I instantly want more birds to join these Brawling Birds in the future. Things haven't improved for Viva Van. She finds herself pinned in the double B's corner, and they exchange 10 spicy chops to Van's chest, not Van's chest. Hayter and Windsor give themselves some room and walk to the middle of the ring. Both wrestlers prepare their palms and power boost them with some good old British spit, and then run two double-handed chops through Viva Van. Viva is not dead. She is a badass bitch, and she can take a lot of punishment, but this is definitely hurting a lot more than any normal chops. And I hope the rest of the locker room sees this and prepares themselves accordingly. The Brawling Birds celebrate for a mo, but Jamie Hayter doesn't hang around in the ring longer than she should, and she scoots out to the apron. These birds do love a good brawl, but they are also very respectful women. Windsor drags Viva out of the corner by her feet for a figure four, but before she can lock it in, she's got to get in a Windsor beforehand. And this is all the opening Viva needed. She thrusts up a few stiff kicks to Windsor, and the third sends Alex flying backwards. Viva tries to run in on Alex, but when Windsor sidesteps her at the last moment, Viva just turns in time before slamming into the turnbuckles chest first. This dance of violence is not over between these two, though. This time, as Alex is running in on Viva, Van engages all of the muscle groups and bolts herself over the incoming Windsor. Van follows it up with a double kick up to Alex's jaw. Alex wins his jaw, and then Viva tries to use this advantage to reach her corner. But Windsor shakes that off very quickly, a lot more quicker than Viva Van would have liked, and Alex glomps on her before she can have any sort of chance of tagging out. Becca with a 3 is trying desperately to encourage her teammate and is reaching out with all of her might, but then Hayter appears. They scrum Viva back further into the ring and then take her out with a double suplex. But Viva lands on her feet with stupendous flexibility, and she makes it to her corner. Becca takes the tag and does not hesitate getting into the ring to face both Brawling Birds. And face them she does. Becca pounds heavy forearms into the chest of Hayter and Windsor, stuffing them both in their tracks very impressively. It's when Becca with It's when Becca with a... Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go. It's when Becca with a 3 changes shiz up a bit and tries to whip both of the brawling birds into the ropes at the same time, that shit fucks up. Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor smash Becca's head between their elbows, and she is insta woozy. But the little sparkly badass is not done, as you may think. She ducks the double lariat, springboards off the ropes, and then takes out both birds with a mighty fine double cutter. The AEW crowd are not biased with their adoration. In fact, we're sluts, a lot of us. And they erupt into cheers for Becca with a 3. Windsor is in a very unsafe corner, and she is soon pancaked into it by a brutal running back elbow. She attempts to hammer throw Windsor into the opposite corner, but she gets that counted on her, and things start to now go downhill extremely quickly for Becca with a 3. Holy shit. She needs an award for the amount of damage she is about to now go through. Windsor catapults Becca into the awaiting Hayter, who captures her and slams her lower back down onto her knee with a backbreaker. Alex is on the move and comes off the ropes with a lariat that almost takes off Becca with a 3's head. The brawling birds take a moment to bask in thy glory, and Hayter takes this opportunity to bash Viva Van off the apron. Oh, Becca, you did your best, love. Windsor and Hayter power boost each other up and then smash Becca with a 3 between two tree trunk lariats. Becca wobbles on her feet and then goes down to her knee. Windsor picks up Becca's limp body and they give her the final nail. 2 birds, 1 stone. A Haterade power bond combo. No, not a power bond. It's a power bomb. Get your power bombs today with a Haterade power bond. No. 2 birds with 1 stone, a Haterade powerbomb combo, and Windsor makes it official with the 1 and the 2 and the 3. The Brawling Birds celebrate their win in front of an adoring crowd, and the tag team division just got dangerous. Fuck yes! Before we skedoodle away from this dynamite, we get the scoops from the remarkable Knew It All Along Renee Paquette, and she has 2 former world champions by her side. Thunder Rises back, baby! In full pass of paint and a hot black lace top and white bandana, she is here to battle! Our most recent former world champion, the Cosmic Killer, Chris Statlander, is another woman in tan, paired with a black leather jacket with more tassels than a super kick party. Stat is pissed. She's uncleared to wrestle, but she wants to fight. But Rosa is cleared. Huzzah! And she is very unimpressed with the Triangle of Madness. Thunder Rosa threatens Tekla in venomous Spanish, and I would love to know what she said if one of y'all out there could be so kind. Stat warns Rosa about Tekla, but Tekla is feeling the best she has ever felt and is ready to kick some spooky ass. Now, we cannot leave here without quickly mentioning the most dangerous bump in AEW refereeing history. Ref Aubrey was lured in by the dastardly Swerve, and she took a full frontal face first of a Kenny Omega, the Trigger. May we hope that she recovers all of her memories. Very naughty Swerve. We hope you're okay, Ref Aubrey. Speaking of shenanigans, though, Marina Shafir opens up our journey through Collision in San Diego. She is not in this battle, but shall be accompanying Claudio Castagnoli to the ring and will be his second pair of eyes for his CMLL World Heavyweight title defense. Shafir hands Claudio his championship as he emerges from the shadows, masked and ready to kick ass. Marina's doing me the personal favor, and I just wanted to say that I appreciated that, but I don't expect it. But I could never let a lady go unnoticed. She stands next to Claudio and gives everyone to TK's left the death stare. Will Marina be needed to counter this giant murder hawk? I bet she hopes so. And so do I. Let's have a little peruse through the match, shall we? See if any shenanigans happen. Well, about 8-ish minutes into this match, the murder hawk decides that he's seen enough and decides to get up on that pesky little apron and get all involved in the match. Marina Shafir is having absolutely none of that, though, and gets up onto the apron to confront him and his audacity. Her presence is enough to send Murder Hawk into a murder squawk, and Claudio boots his ass off the apron. The match is a success, and the Death Riders exit the way they have entered. So we need this match against Marina Shafir and the Murder Hawk, right? Like, we need that. We needed that yesterday. We are then graced by the magnificent aura of Megabad. But only the Megasis, once again, shall be battling it out this evening, which I am sure you can all agree on is rather rude. And take a moment to rehydrate myself after that. Thank you very much. Well, Megabad combined for phase one. They are once again in their blue, white, and gold battle gear that they have been rocking an awful lot lately. Megabane, I did it again. Megabane is looking to wash off some of that defeat stank in this up-and-coming singles match. Megabad gets to the ring and complete phase two of greatest entrance ever. And I really want to know where phase three has gone to, but never mind. And I spy a new sexy little headdress on the head of the Megasis. This one's white feathers are speckled in gold and it covers the rest of her crown in this big gold blurb. It looks magnificent, as does Penelope Ford. Boop. And look who it sent across from the Megasis. It is Becca with the three. She is back, people. She's regrouped and redressed in stunning battle gear in a deep red with black boots. And just like before, she is starting this battle with confidence. But this time with 40% more cheeks. Those cheeks hit the mat pretty quickly, though, as Megan Bain opens the battle with her signature opening move, the rocket kick that takes Becca right off of her feet. I'm sure she'll remember that for next time. Becca gets no mercy and is instantly thrown across the ring with a mega German suplex. Megan Bain shoulder tackles Becca with a three deep into the corner turnbuckles as the crowd very kindly trying to give our dear Becca with a three some power. But instead, they just seem to inspire the Megasis more, and she chops the life out of Becca, who slumps down to the mat. Oh dear. Becca does manage to avoid Bane's incoming stinger splash, though, by quickly vaulting over the top rope like a gazelle. But the Megasis took but a moment to readjust, and she grabs Becca's head and runs her face through the top turnbuckle. Now, excuse me. It seems that Megan Bane has something to tell me, so go ahead, Megasis. Oh, it was Phil Willow. Megan Baines all over Becca with a three and deadlifts her up and over the top rope and slams her down into the mat with an outside-in German suplex of doo. The crowd rightfully cheer, and Bane basks in her glory. Bane hoists Becca up and slams her into the mat with the running like a bomb, the mega bomb. And that is how she died, in fabulous red. Becca is folded up like a dumpling, and Bane gets the one, and the two, and the three. Penelope Ford gets into the ring and celebrates with her victorious tag partner. Megan wants gold, god damn it! And she will get it if she has anything to say about it. And now from one babe in red to another. Lexi Nair, with all the hair, is also in a deep red. Her long sleeve dress is swirling with black in a way that reminds me of like ripped stockings, and it's a real vibe. She has business with a psycho killer, so we'll just leave it to there. Nice to see you though, Lexi. Gearing up to be most mentioned on the fucking show, Marina Shafir is back and she carries another bout. This one is the continental title of John Angry Abs Moxley. Another woman absolutely killing it in red is our stunning ring announcer, Arkady Aura. And I have to say, our wonderful producer, Shane, must have been very chuffed with the personal favor our dear Arkady Aura and the other ladies are giving. Marina stays out of this one. Yes, you heard that correctly. She has stayed out of all three. Look at that one. Though she does stare down Takeshita after the match while he is making eyes at Moxley's title. Lexi, her dress, her hair are all back with a backstage promo from the Babes. Willow's focused, but Harley is caressing the television behind them. We don't know why. Cameron, her grey crop and jeans and her title snap out of it and sets up Willow to tell us the goss. The double champ in blue denim lays it out for Megabad, and the Babes of Wrath make three very good points, but will not be backing down from any fight. They their way out of this promo. And now we get to enjoy what is bound to be an absolutely stupendous battle between Julia Hart and Thunder Rosa. And I wonder what theme Thunder will have this evening, because I think she has about three on rotation. We don't get to find out straight away as Julia Hart comes out first as the arena turns to black with just enough red glow of the lights illuminating the stage for Julia Hart. She walks to the first spotlight and extends her hand. The light instantly goes out, as the rest will also do as Hart slowly makes her way along the entrance. Julia arrives in her spotlight, and as the heart always wins, we are unfortunately denied fire. Ha! As this obviously must be a no fire shenanigans arena. Hart sings her spells and stomps down to the ring in her hat of curses and battle jacket of absolute badassery. Julia completes her battle entrance just in the nick of time before Thunder Rosa is here. And it's her middle battle music, so let's fucking go. Thunder Rosa presents to the world what I can gather is a pretty important statement in Spanish and goes absolutely giddy with joy when she sees her whānau ringside. Thunder is crowned, painted, and living Chola wrestling realness. Her battle gear is cute as fuck. Now, as the lights are on, we can see that Julia Hart is in her lime green and black battle gear. Excellent. The crowd are firmly behind Thunder Rosa. But I don't think Julia looked very hard for the fucks that she was meant to give about any of this. The two wrestlers lock up, and eventually Rosa gets the advantage and hip tosses Julia all around the ring. Julia gets whipped into her friend, the ropes, and stops herself from catapulting back at Rosa and nopes the fuck out of the ring. Thunder isn't going to give Heartless any nope time to think about anything and quickly chases after Julia. Hart tries to slide into the ring, but Thunder catches up to her, pulls her out by her boot, and slams her back into the barricade, adding a few little spicy chops in for the ringside fans. Things go against Thunder Rosa once she gets back into the ring. Julia chops her into the corner, throws a couple of forearms, and sends Rosa into the opposite corner. Thunder's quick, and with perfect timing, she vaults Julia as she comes in for the attack. Thunder takes her out again with a lovely running lariat and goes for the pin, but Hart will not be defeated so quickly. Julia gets her edge back with a swift right to the eyes of Thunder Rosa. She lures Thunder into the corner of the ring and cracks her in the chest with a couple of stiff forearms. Julia climbs the ropes with Thunder's arm in hand and walks the top rope. Now, used to using many weapons from this advantage, I wonder which one she would do here. And she chooses to drop down onto the opposite side and wrenches Thunder Rosa's arm and also shoulder down into that top rope. Oof. Julia grabs Thunder's head and pulls her through the ropes, twists her around, and then cracks Rosa's neck with a hanging neck breaker. Thunder's familiar. Julia basks in her evil glory and then returns to Thunder Rosa. Hart mounts Rosa and bashes down on her head before pinning her shoulders to the mat. Rhonda? Who's Rhonda? Rosa defiantly kicks out at 1, so Julia goes back to what she was doing before and then pins her again after a standing moonsault. Thunder will still kick out, but this time it's at 2. Activated, Julia Hart throws Rosa headfirst into the turnbuckle, stomps on Thunder until she is tender enough to choke out with a split choke. Thunder, no, I did not read that. Julia, Julia Hart and her friends play with Thunder Rosa a bit more as she chokes Thunder on the middle rope. All illegal, but if she changes it up every 5 seconds, she's all good, in theory. Hart throws Thunder to the outside and gives her a sharp chop to the chest that accidentally activates Rosa. And now it is Hart who is against the barricades getting chopped. Hart gets one chop too many and she hammers down on Thunder's back and sends her into the ring. Julia plants Rosa's face into the canvas and then goes for a quick pin. Thunder Rosa kicks out at 2, but she quickly gets yoinked into a headlock. Julia gives the ref some shit as Thunder is trying to get herself out of this choke. Thunder manages to roll over and gets to her feet, even when Julia glomps onto her back. Thunder's strength gives her balance, and she rams Julia Hart backwards into the corner turnbuckles and lays in some stiff elbows to Julia's jaw. Julia stops the barrage by wrapping an arm tightly around Thunder's neck, and even though she only has until 5, it does the job of stopping Rosa. What's she doing? Oh, I'm out. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, because she's choking. You can't choke people for more than 5 seconds. So even though she only has until the count of 5, it does the job of stopping Rosa's attack. Hart kicks Thunder in the face and goes for another pin, but Rosa kicks out at 2. Straight into the surfboard stretch does Julia Hart. Thunder engages strong legs though and stiff elbows, and she finally breaks free from Julia's grip. Thunder caves in her chest with heavy chops and then smashes her jaw with a beautiful stunner. Julia is trying to get some stamina back in the corner, but she can do nothing about the incoming Thunder attack. Thunder Rosa hits her with a running lariat, slips through the ropes, and then springs in for a meteora to the chest of Julia Hart. The crowd are now even more behind Thunder Rosa, and she whips her shirt off for an even more bigger power boost. Julia Hart gets a shotgun drop kick missiled right through her. Thunder quickly follows it up with the gorgeous Northern Light suplex and bridges for the pin, but the strong Julia escapes it too. Thunder rallies the crowd behind her again, but she loses control of Hart and soon finds herself being taken out by soul food to the boob. Rosa stumbles into the corner of the ring and enrages Hart. Oh, and an enraged and stop, shaboom, shaboom, Rosa stumbles into the corner of the ring and an enraged Hart runs in after her and hits her hard with a running lariat. Julia goes for her corner to corner boot to the face, but she finds no one there. Thunder doesn't notice it, but Julia is not in the predicament she might think she is and runs at her with a battle cry. Hart vaults Rosa, glomps her legs around the arms of Thunder, and then she pulls her in for the rope submission, the tarantula. She's losing her mind in the studio right now. The brain is going. The tarantula gave Julia life. And as soon as Thunder is in the nasty submission, oh, I'm sorry, I went completely over there. Come on, get it together, woman. Get it together. Come on. She needs to sleep. Hart bolts Rosa, glumps her legs around the arms of her, and then pulls her in for the rope submission, the tarantula. Hart has to let go at 5, but it always does enough damage. That tarantula gave Julia life, and she soon has Thunder in a very nasty submission in the middle of the ring. Julia squeezes Thunder Rosa's body in the Manji Katame while unleashing a battle cry. Thunder very impressively powers out of it and slams Julia's body into the mat, but she still can't keep her down for 3 though. Julia, no, Thunder Rosa, Julia Hart, and Julia Hart re-engage in a beautiful dance of violence. Julia heads back up to the top rope to set flight for the moonsault, but lands face first into the upstretched boots of Thunder Rosa. Julia's jaw is rocked. Thunder Rosa powers up for the Thunder Driver, and she gets finally on Julia Hart, the one, the two, and the three. Thunder Rosa celebrates with the entire of San Diego. But there is someone toxic who would also like to join the celebration and say a few words. Our toxic world champion is in that amazing white coat and black leather pants combination. And she has a mic in hand. And she is addressing Thunder from high up in the crowd. Toxic praises or mocks Thunder Rosa, depending on your reading of the situation, and captivates us all with her words of violence. AEW is definitely a lot more toxic than it was before Thunder was injured. Julia tries to get a little sneak attack on Thunder, but the Cosmic Killer, Chris Statlander, appears out of nowhere and stands between her and Thunder's back. Julia retreats and then goes to join Tekla. And that is the end of that. We're off to get some shots. 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 Oh, that promo from Tekla was outstanding, by the way. She's so mesmerizing. The men folk end this episode in absolute chaos and at least 2 crimes. And we are out of here, sicko! But before we go, you may have noticed there may a slight non-mentioning of a certain patron saint of DCMD, and that is the most wonderful in the world, Layla Gray. But here she is. You know, we can't have an episode of Don't Call Me Diva and not mention the patron saint of the show, Layla Gray. All right, off you go, Layla. Good luck with your surgery, darling. Layla Gray. Thank you, everyone, for joining me on this very long, very chaotic, very crazy episode where I even tried many times to fuck my own self up with whatever the hell was written in front of me. If only you knew what I had to interpret as I was writing. What are your thoughts on this week's discussions? If you so wish, you can leave them as comments in the appropriate sections of wherever you are. And if you would be so as to like and subscribe whilst you're here, I'd be very grateful. Thank you very much. You can find me lurking threads at Bex_Bastet. You can find me at Blue Sky, but I'm not active at Bex-Bastet. And follow us, the show, on TikTok at Don't Call Me Diva Show. Thank you, as always, to Shane, my excellent producer, editor, promoter extraordinaire, who has to deal with all my madness and the way that I say things stupidly. Please go check out the Ethos Media Network. If you would like to find out more about the things that he does with his very diverse contact, don't contact him. Just watch the content. Join us at sickosclub.com and at Sickos Club on Threads. We have a very, very fun award show going now. Go find it. Go vote. Go. Whoa! You have never met a more wonderful, inclusive, smart, kind, and talented bunch of silly sausages who also have to really enjoy wrestling. This was Don't Call Moi Diva. Don't be a dick.